Will Lucas here, AfroTech 2019 in the building with Charlamagne the God. How you feeling?
I'm blessed, black, and highly favored. How are you, sir?
I feel real good. So I'm gonna jump right into it. So a lot of people feel like they have to leave their jobs to be able to make their dream real. But you found a way, and not everybody's gonna be in radio, but you found a way to be able to do your thing outside of your job and still be able to have that home base. Can you talk a little bit about what it means to not feel like you have to just take that leap and just throw caution to the wind, but use what you have and be able to make your dream real and leverage that?
Well, for me, like I was saying on the stage, like my life is my greatest commodity, right? Like it's like whatever I'm going through at the time is what I'm presenting to the people. I don't like the word selling, but I guess it kind of is, right? In a lot of ways. So for me, man, I'm just literally going in there every day and just being myself and realizing that you can't limit yourself to one hustle. Like that's always been my mindset. My mindset is always you can't limit yourself to one hustle. You got to have like 6 or 7 different means of income. And I've been fired 4 times. Like, so you don't ever want to be in a position to where, your way of eating and your kid's way of eating is based off what somebody is funneling you.
So the Breakfast Club, innovated on a medium that was dying, honestly, 10, 15 years ago, radio, terrestrial radio specifically. But you guys found a way using YouTube and your other social media channels to bring a lot of life back into that and to build a global brand. Can you provide some inspiration for people who are trying to innovate in industries that have not historically been innovated in?
Well, you're right. I'm not gonna say radio was dying. I'm just gonna say that radio was looking prehistoric. It was looking like a dinosaur. And I mean, all we did was take radio and put it on these platforms that people were consuming. Because it's not like people didn't want to consume radio content. They just weren't consuming it from the radio per se. Like you got to go set up shop where people are. So that's like me, I always was big on recording interviews, and like that's the one thing that we kind of demanded when we first started the Breakfast Club. We got to have our own videographer who records our videos and puts them up online every day. And that's immediately we did. I'm talking about from day one. Day one, me and Angela, we did this viral video arguing about whose show it was. And I remember we put that out and all the blog sites picked it up. And then on YouTube, it had like 500,000 views. And that's when I was like, all right, we got something. And so we just continue to do that, and we continue to do that now. You can get the show on the iHeartRadio app. The Breakfast Club is a podcast now. Of course we got such a big, heavy YouTube presence, but we're literally taking the content of radio and putting it where the people are. Like you can't just wait for the people to come to radio. Like you got to go to where the people are. So that's literally all it is. It's really just taking old blueprints and kind of giving them a renovation.
And when you think about media, historically, this is conversation in the music business about owning your masters, right? And so when you think about media and making content for YouTube and for Instagram, for TikTok and etc., how do we find a way to have ownership of that media?
What's key is for us to start creating the platforms. That's why I do like YouTube, because these kids are able to create their own content and put it on YouTube and make money from it. But I still feel like we need our own platforms, I don't know. It's just still a component missing, because we're still making so much other people money. You know what I mean? Like we're still making whoever runs YouTube all of this revenue, whoever runs Instagram, whoever runs Twitter, we're still making them all of this revenue with our content. So it just has to be a way for us to start creating these platforms, and that goes to like us not wanting to be in front of the camera all of the time, right? Because like I told you a couple weeks ago, like we got to find those people who know how to code and can create these platforms. Everybody's not a creative as far as like content. Some people are creatives as far as like, I know the site that needs to be built. I know what the next YouTube is. I know what the next Instagram is. Like somebody has to create that for us to really, 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 truly own our content. Because I mean, you do have a lot of people owning their content now, but man, until you truly own those platforms, I don't know how much we really truly own the content.
Yeah, that's an important thing you said, because I figure when you say that, how do we get the hood thinking of, we creating this stuff for Instagram and stuff for YouTube? We need to partner with somebody who can build this so we can take and monetize it, number one, but create an ownership. How do we get, because years ago it was nerds were nerds, now nerds are a little bit more cool. How do we get the hood or our people just in general to embrace that technical influence or technical participation of the kids who are interested in this thing?
That's a great point. That was actually, my next point. It's like, that's what comes with owning your own content, right? Like if you are a creative and you're doing these things on your own. Like I was watching the Rudy Ray Moore movie, and he shot his own movie. Like basically that's what a lot of the brothers and sisters are doing. So it's like when you are having conversations with these people who have built these platforms, whether they black or white, they got to be looking at you as a partner, right? Because you have what they need. Like they have the platform, but you have the content. So therefore, we together. We're business partners. Like you're not gonna just sign me as talent, because when somebody gets signed as talent, that's when you're just, taking whatever it is that they create and you taking 80% and giving them 20%. How is that fair? You know what I mean? And now you're sitting in a room telling them what they should be creating and how you want it created. Like, no. The beauty of the era that we live in now is I can create the kind of content I want to create. I can curate the type of audience that I want, right? And now either you're going to be in business with me because I already have this audience, or we're not going to do business at all. And I'll just keep, doing what I'm doing over here, making my money. It'll be a slower grind, but it'll still be prosperous.
For people who work at companies and they find that their talent is being, I don't want to say exploited in the wrong way, because exploitation is not necessarily negative, right? But their talent is being used to serve somebody else's dream. How do you see yourself, and what can other people learn from you about how you use the Breakfast Club as a medium to build your brand, but also you're doing stuff outside of that in case that goes away, you still are Charlamagne the guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's more than the Breakfast Club, right? For me, it's the Breakfast Club. It's social media. It's, YouTube content. It's things that I'm creating on television. It's books, it's podcasts. I own my podcast network, like that's a deal that I can take anywhere right now. And trust me, everybody's knocking. Like, I have all of these, I have my own podcast, The Brilliant Idiots, but then we have all of these other, podcasts that, we've created, whether it's me and Angela Rye, Sibling Rivalry, like my guy Van Lathan, The Red Pill. Like, it's all of these different entities that we could come together and form our own conglomerate and really go get this bag, which is probably gonna happen if we choose to. But it's just like all of these different entities that I'm involved in, because Charlamagne really is all of those things. Like, I'm a storyteller, and there's different ways to tell my stories at different times. The way I tell my story on The Breakfast Club is different than I tell my story in a book. The way I tell my story in a book is different than I tell my story on a podcast. And, the way me and Angela Rye communicate is different than the way me and my man Andrew Schultz communicate. So it's all of these different variations of what it is that I'm doing. But, man, honestly, I just want to use what I've grown as far as my brand is concerned to empower other people. I mean, to answer your question, I'm just involved in a whole lot of different things because I just don't want to work for white people for the rest of my life. That's the moral of the story. I don't know any other way to say it.
You said this on stage, I'm gonna let you go. Is how important is AfroTech?
Oh man. I mean, listen, we don't have the tools. We don't have the resources. Black people, we don't share information enough. Like, there's so many black kids that probably want to be into the tech world. They want to be in this space. They don't know the first place to start. So when you see an event like AfroTech and you're like, you mean to tell me that I can go there and talk to a bunch of black people in the tech world? Oh, I need in on that. Like, so it's just a place for us to come together in fellowship and pass business cards and create these networks that are going to last forever, hopefully. I didn't go to college, but one thing I always hear about college is that people go to college and they build these relationships with people who end up becoming like, CEOs of corporations and heads of, media companies and hedge fund people and just all of these attorneys, doctors, like, and they just build this network. And it's like, man, AfroTech is really that. Like, I really meant it when I said, like, if you know, at the end of Black Panther, they came to Oakland. You know what I mean? And that's going to help us, in the future, man. Because it's like, even being on stage today with Dev, like, Dev is my friend for real. Like, that's my sister. Like, we vacation together. I met her 13 years ago. Like, we used to sleep on each other's couches. We were at each other's weddings. You understand what I'm saying? Like, me and her husband cool. Her and my wife super cool. Like, we sit back, we was in Cabo earlier this year sitting back like, yo, we adulting. Like, we really adults. Like, the kids here, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like, man, that's the type of networks that you get to build when you have things like AfroTech. Because I met Dev through radio. You understand what I'm saying? So but that's a lifelong friendship that was forged. So, you know, think events like AfroTech, man, a lot of y'all are forging lifetime friendships, you know, today and this weekend and don't even know it.
Will Lucas, AfroTech, Charlamagne the God.